Hi, my name is John Kafanka. I come from Zambia, a very beautiful country in the southern part of Africa. This video is about community. Our Christian faith inspires us to reach out to our community. But what is community? Is it our neighbor? Is it our family member? Is it the church? Does it include those who are excluded, those who are marginalized? The Anglican Communion is a worldwide church that scatters all over the world in about 165 countries and brings together about 85 million people. In all these countries, there are different views about what community is. The Anglican Alliance is an Anglican communion-wide initiative which brings together development, relief and advocacy work and community transformation, end poverty and fight injustice. In this video, you're going to hear from Anglicans all over the world explaining what they mean by community. And you're also going to hear mine from Zambia. Thank you. God bless.
My name is Bishop Samuel Azariah. I am the presiding bishop for the Church of Pakistan. My understanding of the community is, the traditional understanding of the community in my context is people belonging to a particular faith order, people belonging to a particular social order of people living in a residential or in an area where they're together. But as a church worker, as a presiding bishop in the church, I believe that my faith, my understanding of the community is not only restricted to people who believe in the Christian faith, but people who live and struggle with you together each day of their life to make life a meaningful experience, to struggle with the challenges and the opportunities which come in life each day, and to together face with issues which are relating to the future of the next generation. So that is how I look at the community in our context. We are a minority group in Pakistan. We are a religious minority group, and I can fairly say that as a religious minority, we are marginalized because of our social and economical conditions and because of our political status. I think the other angle which we need to look upon in the Islamic context we are in, that community is beyond gender also. We cannot restrict community just to a gathering of women or men, but it's a gathering of women, men and children who are struggling for a quality of life, who are struggling for identity, who are struggling to be able to make a contribution in God's creation.
My name is Tania Veronica Niño Arevalo. I am from Colombia, from Bogota, the capital. The community for me is the one I used to work because I spend most of my time with them, every day mostly. And community for me is that environment where you feel you belong to, but it also has another meaning, and is when in the church, when during the service, there is this atmosphere, there is this feeling that we are getting together in the same space, in equal conditions. Is this moment that is difficult to describe, this feeling that is difficult to explain, that I have identified as a community. It's very important, and it really helped to everyone to get together, but also to achieve something. If you get together, if people make commitments, if people is aware, care about the other members of the community, it's possible that things can change, and it's possible the community can improve their condition. From my experience, Bogota, the city is so big, so communities are not so restricted. They are open, people go and come. So the church was a very open space, open to everyone. We have different groups, young people, elderly, mainly elderly people, and plenty of children. And I cannot say that they were a group that was discriminated against, but I can say that the situation of children was particularly difficult because they were alone most of the time because their parents were working. So the community tried to work out, so they create like special houses for them to take care of them. But all of this came from the community. So I was part of that. I feel part of that community, and well, I try to do my best to help them. I am so proud of that and from that community.
I'm Indian by race, but Malaysian by nationality. I live in a country where there are different races. The dominant race is the Malay race, who are largely Muslims. And then we have Chinese, and we have Indians. Of course, we also have others who come from the ethnic community in Sabah and Sarawak. Now, I live in a what people would consider an upper class residential area, and so when we talk of community from the residential perspective, that people with whom I live in that is considered my community. There is also the community of my church. I feel that is more of a real community than the community in which I live, largely because there is somehow a feeling of oneness. We worship together, we regard one another without looking at their social standing and the cars that they drive in, or the place that they work, or the level of income that they have, and so on and so forth. So I relate very much, and I spend more time with the people in my church than I do with the people around whom I live. But through the church, we try to reach out the people who are marginalized. And the people who are marginalized in my city where I live, Kuala Lumpur, are those who are the poorer people, the single mothers and the HIV AIDS patients who live by the streets. And I am particularly interested in the older people of the church. Many of them are not able to come to church, but we try to reach out to them. And that to me is community and the kind of life that I feel that I like to live in.
My name is John Kafunka. I come from Zambia. And I want to just say a little bit about what community is for me in the context in which I grew up. I grew up in the rural Zambia where I was born, and for me, community was about the values that every member of the community held and indeed respected. And so values such as looking after one another, providing for one another, and particularly in times of need. So if one was lacking, there will always be another person who will look after those. That would mean, for instance, one was responsible for ensuring that the children were safe and all right. If I found a child on the street, I'll be responsible for that, because that was part of the responsibility of any member of the community to look after particularly those that are vulnerable. For the elderly, everyone had a role to play in terms of looking after the elderly. So it was about looking after one another and being responsible for one another. And that was for me the main element of what community value was about. In terms of being excluded, the only people that got excluded out of the community are those kind of people that did or trampled upon the values of the community in which they lived. For instance, a thief, someone who stole something, or someone who committed a crime of one or the other, those people would be excluded out of the community. Other than that, if we had values such as to respect the elderly, to respect those that were older than you are. For me, anyone who was the age of my mother in that community was my mother. Anyone who was the age of my sister was my sister. Anyone who was the age of my brother was my brother. And those are some of the values of the community in which I lived in the rural Zambia. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marianne and I'm from Norway. I would say community is a group of people that live their lives together and somehow are interrelated with just what they do on a day-to-day basis. I've moved around a lot, so my view of community is not that fixed, and I guess you can have many types of communities, just like where I come from, people that live around, that always live there, so there would be old people, young people, people that lived there for generations. People just moved in. And then as a student, I guess that's also a community and a different type of way. And I guess, I've been new in a community, and the community where I grew up in, and I guess community can be very different.
My name is Philippa Amable. I'm a delegate from the province of West Africa on the Standing Committee. What I understand by community is a group of people who have some kind of common interest, whether of family or of just living in the same neighborhood, or of shared ideals or professional aspirations. When I talk of community within the church system, I think in terms of other people who belong to the same faith, and beyond that, to other people who are also Christians. In that larger community, there are, of course, people who are marginalized. I think in a lot of churches within my larger community, that is, people who belong to my church and to my faith, many women are marginalized. They are marginalized because they are not well educated. They are marginalized because they make less contribution to the funds of the church than, for example, many men. Although the men are fewer, they are generally better employed and are in a better, stronger financial position. Well, throughout my life, I've seen many different types of communities. As I grew up, I saw the traditional one, which is fading out now because the customary things are giving way to more cosmopolitan ideas, and the nuclear family is supplanting the traditional family, which is a shame. We have gone on to the international community, where you are often, for example, an expatriate, which is what I was when I was in the United States with my husband. And that creates also a different atmosphere. The church community also creates an entirely different community. I must say that in all of them, I find that the women are the movers. They are the people who do the most work. They are the people who are willing to move things forward without concern for what benefits might accrue to them as individuals.
My name is David Chillingworth. I'm the Bishop of St Andrews in the Scottish Episcopal Church and Primus of the Scottish Episcopal Church. By background, I am Irish. I've been living in Scotland for the last 7 years. The question about what community means to me, it really is answered by saying that I'm a member of quite a number of communities, some of which overlap. I'm very conscious at the moment, having become a grandparent for the first time, that I have an extended family community, which is very important to me. There's obviously the church community. I'm part of the community in Scotland, which is deciding its future and debating independence. So community means a lot of different things to me, and they're all important. And I suppose community is really any group of people where there is a real commitment to developing relationship and caring for one another. And I think the final thing I would say arises out of earlier parts of my life experience, which is that we tend to assume that community is a good thing, a self-evident good thing. Well, back in Ireland, in the years that I lived through the Northern Irish Troubles, community meant us, and then there was them. And so community became a way of saying that we were all right and other people were not. And therefore I'm very aware that community can be a two-edged thing. In Scotland, in our small church community, there can be a risk of community for us being people like us, who share a culture, who share a worldview, and who want to live slightly apart and be slightly disengaged from wider society. I don't think that's a good thing either. So community should be broad, inclusive, engaging, caring, and it should stretch all of us in the care which we give to one another.
I'm Paul Kwong. I'm the Anglican Archbishop of Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, the Anglican Church serves the community. In particular, we serve not only the Chinese who live in Hong Kong, but the people who work and live in Hong Kong. Yeah, ordinary people who live in Hong Kong, whoever they are, so long they have that need, they are welcome to come. We are not only to wait for them to come to help, we try to reach out to them. We reach out to them through the networking, because we have our church in Hong Kong runs 150 schools, and also we run over 200 social service units, and also we have more than 50 churches, and through these we can reach out to a wider community. The church then is to serve the whole community, but we are not asking for any return. You know, we are doing that simply for the love of God. We are not there to simply for evangelizing, apostolizing. Basically, we're there to help those people. So basically, we are there to serve and to witness the love of Christ.